Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming to you from right here in Hollywood, California. I am, of course, your host, John Campea. It's an awesome honor and privilege, as it is every day, to have you guys joining us here as we talk about our favorite things in the world, movies, movie news, all sorts of good stuff. And, you know, they may have snubbed Mr. Rogers in the best documentary category, but it's always a beautiful day in the neighborhood when Mr. Robert Meyer Burnett is here joining us. Robert, how you doing, sir?
You know, I feel like I'm in the land of make-believe every day when I'm sitting here with you, and it's fantastic.
If only we had King Wednesday here going, welcome to the kingdom. I can't even remember what it's stuff like this. And by the way, guys, Ashley is normally here, but she's off doing actor stuff this morning. She's got an acting gig. So a good friend of ours, you guys know her, Cory has come in to sit in for Ashley today.
Hey, I'm so excited to be here. I'm happy to be filling in this seat today.
Hey, and you got a big way. Aren't you and Ann going, not SummerSlam, you and Ann.
We're going to the Royal Rumble.
Oh, that's right. You're going to the Royal Rumble this weekend.
That's right.
Where is it again?
It's in Phoenix.
So you guys are flying out to Phoenix this weekend, you and Ann?
Flying out to Phoenix. We're going to watch 30 women and 30 men in a match. Not at the same time, but it's going to be exciting. Yeah.
Congratulations. I'm excited. I know Ann's getting excited about going to that. Well, listen, guys, we got a whole bunch of stuff to talk about here today, so let's dive right into our main topics. How do we select our main topics around here? Well, it's really rather simple. You guys select our main topics by emailing me your topics and questions anytime to a black screen. That's John at thejohncampeashow.com. Just email me at john@thejohncampeashow.com. Make sure you guys put the word topic in the subject line. And as always, guys, keep your emails to 90 words or less. With all that out of the way, Cory, what is our first email today?
First email by Brendan Brownlee. Hey, John, I think The Sopranos is my all-time favorite show, and now I just read that James Gandolfini's son, Michael, is going to be playing the younger version of Tony Soprano. I think this is awesome. The only thing I'm a little surprised about is the age. I thought the young Tony would be a lot younger. Still, what do you think of this casting? John?
I will tell you what. Here's the thing. On one hand, I think to myself, well, I mean, does he do any acting? Can he do anything like this? And I'll tell you what else, too. I was right there with you. I thought, by the way, we're talking about this new movie coming out called, I think it's The Many Saints of Newark. I think that's what it's called, which is, of course, a Sopranos prequel. The Punisher himself, John Bernthal's just been announced to be in it. I mean, it's stacking up really great. It's being done by the show creator of Sopranos. So everybody who's a Sopranos fan should be happy. They mentioned a while ago that they were going to have a young Tony. I kind of assumed it was going to be a child Tony. Like when they said younger, I didn't think a little bit younger.
Right.
I mean, Michael's a lot younger than his dad James was, but I mean, I thought child. But okay. So now you're talking about getting a kid who's really not an actor per se, but I'll tell you two words why I'm actually totally okay with this. O'Shea Jackson, Ice Cube's kid. Nary much acting experience whatsoever under his belt when he went and did Straight Outta Compton. But if he's playing his dad, here's the thing. There is no human being on the face of the earth who will know the mannerisms and the personality and the way he carries himself of his father like Michael does. And if he's just going in there to play his dad's character, I don't know. Normally, I would not be okay with this getting a non-act, but in a situation like this seems to be one of those, extreme circumstances where it's like, well, we've seen something like this before and it worked out pretty damn well. I'm actually okay with this. What do you make of this, Robert?
I like it. You've got David Chase, the creator of The Sopranos.
Yep.
If he wasn't 100% on this, he wouldn't do it.
No, not at all.
And that's when you have. I was talking about this yesterday. Online. When you have a show creator, the person who invented whatever it is that you're doing, you want them involved.
Yeah.
Because they've got their legacy to protect. I mean, he could hire other actors that look something like James Gandolfini, but I think he's mmade a choce for a reason.
Yeah.
I'm excited for this movie, by the way.
And I don't even really care if they got somebody who looked like James Gandolfini. I'll get whatever, even if it doesn't look anything like James Gandolfini, I'll get over that in about 2 minutes. That'll be fine. But the fact that, what we saw O'Shea Jackson do, he could do his dad because he spent his whole life with his dad. He totally knew every inflection, every nuance that his dad would bring to it, and he carried it out. So if this guy, yes, he looks like his dad, great. But if he can bring that same thing, then it could be really fun to see this on screen. And, I'm getting more and more excited as we go, as we get closer to this thing. So I'm liking what we're seeing.
Me too.
All right. What is the next topic today?
Next topic, Greg Voigt asks, less than 4 years ago, The Avengers was the only movie to make over $200 million domestically opening weekend. In less than 4 years, 5 more films have achieved that number. What happened in those 4 years that allowed for these films to reach that? Is it higher ticket prices, the films themselves? What do you think? And thanks.
Well, first of all, it was more than 4 years ago. It was more than 4 years ago.
Right.
But the point is valid, Robert. I mean, we went the longest time where even the idea of a film making $200 million opening weekend was a bit of a stretch. And now we got a bunch of them. Here, check this out. Here are the films. We've got Avengers Infinity War, obviously, is the record hold, 257. But, Avengers was the first one, 207. Jurassic World, 208. Star Wars The Last Jedi, $220 million opening weekend. Star Wars The Force Awakens, $247 million. We got 5 films now. Like, before unheard of. Now we've got 5 of these films. So, Robert, the question becomes, what is it about the environment today that we've gone forever without 200 million? And now, all of a sudden, like in the snap of a finger, we've got 5 and more on the way. Literally, they gloved a snap of a finger. Now it seems like we've got more and more coming all the time. What was the turning point here?
Well, I'm always talking about what I call the post-geek singularity. And it's this period of time in which we live where all of our niche, not Nietzsche, like Nietzsche,
Yes.
Ubermensch, niche, the niche market that used to be geeks, for geeks, has gone utterly mainstream. Everything has gone mainstream. Everybody, you've got families going to these movies 1 and 2 and 3 times. People get excited. The whole world turns out for these films. It's no longer for just one group of people. These films, look at those films. You've got the Avengers, Star Wars, and Jurassic World.
All legacy titles.
All legacy titles that people have grown up with. Families watch these movies together on the holidays. Star Wars is a rite of passage for every child on planet Earth, pretty much. So these films are movies. There's never been, by the way, movies like this before. So, and there's ticket prices, there's IMAX movies. But for the most part, these are cultural events like we've never seen.
Yeah, and I'm going to point out, too, there's a couple of other things about the current context of the movie-going world that have changed over the years. Back in the 70s, 80s, you didn't have cumulative effects of movie franchises.
Right.
I mean, there were
That's
some.
exactly right.
I mean, French Connection, sure, but not like today where you now, like a television show, you're building the following as you go and you get some climaxes. Jurassic World has a long history in Hollywood. The MCU, not only has the MCU been around for 10 years now, but also the long history of the comic books themselves. Star Wars goes back, to my parents' generation and earlier. All that kind of stuff. So that's one thing. To me, though, one of the other big things we have to keep in consideration, besides things like you mentioned, like ticket prices, whatever, is the fact that more and more movies today are released than any other time in history. And what that has caused is that whereas before a movie didn't make the huge lion's share chunk of its money in its first 2 weeks, a movie would come out, make some money, and then they hope it has legs, and it makes its overall body of money over the long term.
Sure.
There has never been a period in Hollywood history like we have today where the opening weekend is everything. The opening weekend is now because more and more people, they rush out more than any other time before. They want to go and see it opening weekend. They want to go see it opening weekend. And with more and more competition coming, the importance of that opening weekend becomes even more. Now, of course, we have exceptions. There are exceptions to that rule where some films will have really true long legs and all that kind of stuff. But those are rarities. So everything that you pointed out, Robert, on top of the fact that, we have these cumulative effects with franchises and the fact that there's a growing more and more in the last number of years emphasis on the opening weekend and the importance of the opening weekend, it's not a bird you kill with one stone. There's several different underlying reasons.
Yeah, and I also think that these movies are they're cultural events too.
Yeah.
I mean, the anticipation for these things is enormous. And in the case of movies like everything we saw there, a Jurassic World, I mean, a whole generation of kids grows up. We haven't seen dinosaurs eating people since Jurassic 3.
It's been a while. At least not good ones.
No, and when Jurassic World came out, who didn't want to see dinosaurs chomping on people? It'd been too damn long. A whole culture of people wanted to see that. And the same is true. I mean, Infinity War, even I hadn't felt the excitement for a movie as an old middle-aged man that's shriveling away close to my death. To get excited for a movie like Infinity War was amazing. I felt like I was young as when the world was new.
As when the world was new. So yeah, a lot of different things. Can you guys think of some other reasons why you think we're seeing this trend? And we got more $200 million opening weekend movies coming. Jump in the comments section and let us know your thoughts. All right, Cory, what's next?
Next up, Davis Sickles. Hey, John, love the show. My question is, how did Black Panther get a Best Picture nomination without even getting nominated for any of the other major award categories, acting, directing, and screenwriting? It's the only Best Picture nominee in recent years not to have at least one. I like the movie, but the Best Picture nomination seems suspicious and possibly political to me. Thanks, and keep bringing the filthy.
Well, I mean, look, one of the first things I want to say is we as human beings, we are quick to ascribe excuses as to why other people didn't do what we think they should do. Look, the Academy gave Black Panther the Best Picture nomination because they felt it deserved a Best Picture nomination. I don't necessarily agree. I think it's a great movie. I think there were other comic book movies this year that maybe deserved its spot in front of it. But let's not make excuses as to why a group of people didn't see the things the same way we did. Okay, so let's just that out of the way. It is interesting. Rob, I find this fascinating. Buckle up, hear me out, because this is some really interesting stuff. You know, there are things that go into making a movie a great movie. Great direction, great screenplay, great acting by your lead and your supporting characters, great cinematography. These are the categories. You know, I've got a partner here at the stream, my business partner here, who is a voting member of the Academy, has been for decades, and she will tell us. The Academy itself kind of considers the major categories, other than Best Picture, directing, lead actor, actress, supporting actor and actress, adapted screenplay, original screenplay, and cinematography. These are the ones they generally consider to be the major categories.
Sure.
Black Panther, again, I'm just pointing something out. I leave it to you to come to your own conclusions. Black Panther was not considered by the Academy to be one of the best directing jobs of the year, not considered by the Academy to have one of the best actors or actresses in a leading or supporting role, not considered by the Academy for a best adapted screenplay thing, and not considered by the Academy to be one of the best of cinematography. So Black Panther becomes the only film this year to be nominated for Best Picture without a nomination in any of the other major categories. Every other film nominated for Best Picture this year has at least one nomination in one of those major categories. But it gets even more interesting than that, Robert. In the last 10 years, do you know how many films have been nominated for Best Picture in the last 10 years?
How many films total?
Yeah, how many films in total in the last 10 years have been nominated for Best Picture?
Off the cuff, I would say 40?
89. 89 films nominated for Best Picture in the last 10 years.
I guess with 5 it would be 50.
Yeah,
So
with
my math
5
is
would have been
faulty.
50, and then they increased it up to a maximum of 10.
Okay,
So yeah.
89 it is then.
89 films nominated for Best Picture in the last 10 years. Do you know, out of those, well, you do know because you and I had a quick chat about this, but in 89 years,
89
in 89 films that have been nominated for Best Picture over the past 10 years, do you know, I'm going to throw this over to you, Cory, just to see if you can throw it a guess.
Okay.
How many movies, other than Black Panther, how many movies out of those 89 in 10 years that have been nominated for Best Picture had no other nominations in those other major categories? Wild guess.
5.
Less.
Uh-huh.
1. Just one other film in the last 10 years out of the last 89 films nominated for Best Picture. Only one other film has been nominated for Best Picture without any nominations in those other categories. Now, that was Ava DuVernay's wonderful film, Selma. That was in 2015. But in the last 20-plus years, other than Black Panther and Selma, do you know how many other films in the past 25 years have been nominated for Best Picture without a single one of those other major nominations? Again, 1. Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers, which had a bunch of Academy Award nominations, but no nomination for director, screenplay, cinematography, or any acting. 3 films in the last maybe 150 films that have been nominated for Best Picture. Only 1 in the past 10, 2 in the past 20, 25 plus years. Has this ever happened? In a year when Black Panther, according to me, at least at any rate, with my own personal subjective opinion, was only the 3rd best comic book movie of the year, and yet it still gets a Best Picture nomination. Now, let me also throw a little wrinkle in this. Lest you think, John's point is, since it didn't get any other of the other major nominations, that's why it doesn't deserve to be Best Picture. I'll tell you what. Selma also did not have that, and Lord of the Rings: Two Towers did not have that, and I fully supported both of those films getting nominations for Best Picture in their respective years. So I'm not saying that definitively, but it is such a statistical anomaly to have a film, not only of its year, but of the past 10 years, to be like one of the only ones, which does at least beg the question, so why did it get nominated? Now, again, I'm not going to sit here and make excuses that there was political agendas, nothing like that. Again, it happened with Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers. It happened with Selma. So, and I'm not ascribing any political agenda to those two. I think those 2 films deserved Academy Award nominations. But it is such a wild number, Robert. I just found it fascinating. When you hear statistics like that, like, do you find that unusual, or do you think it's, whatever? How do you approach that?
Well, I think ever since the Academy has let more than 5 films be nominated for Best Picture, that there's been the Best Picture nominees have been skewed. And you know how there was all this talk this year, or actually last year, but for this year's Academy Awards, they were going to add a new category about most popular film.
Yeah.
I think since they have added the category of they've added more than 5 films.
Yeah.
They have definitively, they have essentially, or de facto, they have added a populist slant to Best Picture nominees that didn't exist previously. They have to fill out that roster. And that's why I thought, well, we need to have an award for the most popular movie. That's what they're doing with the other Beyond 5 nominees. So everything Beyond 5 is sort of, hey, it's a popular movie that made a lot of money and it was culturally significant, so let's acknowledge it for that reason. And I think that that's what's happening here. I mean, I think that, look, you know, movies are, I said earlier, they're cultural events.
Yeah.
And if a film can start the discussion and become a water cooler show and be something that is sort of shaping the conversation of our culture, that's a good thing. And that continues.
It's a fantastic thing.
It's a fantastic thing, and for that to continue on with Black Panther into the Best Picture race, I think more power to it, because it keeps that conversation going.
Right.
So I don't think it was a political nomination at all. I think it was a film that many people were aware of, and I think a lot of people, even voting members of the Academy, I think Black Panther might have been their first comic book movie. People that older voters that had never gone to comic book films, that went, oh, pshaw, I don't want to see that. But they saw Black Panther and they were pleasantly surprised, like, huh. And that's why they voted for it.
And look, and let's be very clear, Black Panther's a damn good movie.
Yeah.
It's a real good movie. And I agree. Look, I disagree with the Academy's nomination of Black Panther just because I don't think it belongs there.
Right.
I think there were 2 other comic book movies that deserved that spot a little bit more, in Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse with Miles Morales, who I never even used to like Miles Morales until this movie. It's like, now I love Miles Morales. And of course, Avengers Infinity War, which on our poll, overwhelmingly by our readers and viewers, thought was the best. But that's the thing. I disagree with the nomination. I do not agree with this notion that it was a political move. Hey, look, there are a lot of movies every year that get nominated that maybe I don't think should, but I don't think it's a political move.
No.
And I don't think it's a political move here. And by the way, I should also point out, while I bitch and moan and complain like a little baby that, you know, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse should have got that spot, or that maybe Avengers Infinity War should have got that spot, it should also be pointed out that neither Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse or Avengers Infinity War, either of those films didn't have any of those major nominations either.
Right.
You know, Avengers Infinity War wasn't nominated for Best Director or Best Screenplay or Best Actor or Actress or cinema. Did it get? No, it didn't get cinematography. And now they did Spider-Man and the Spider-Verse. So while I complained that I think these 2 should have gotten a spot over Black Panther, well, they didn't get those nominations either. So again, I have a bit of a sports mind. I love statistics.
Right,
So
sure.
seeing such a wild statistic like this just really made my jaw drop. And I just thought it was fascinating for conversation. All right, let's move on to the next email today.
All right, Lucas James. Hey, John, do you think Nick Fury will ever have his own movie or TV show? He's been a supporting character in so many Marvel movies, from Iron Man 2 to Avengers to Captain America 2, Captain Marvel, and now Far From Home. Will he go beyond being a supporting character?
Rob, we have seen from the inception, like we had Iron Man 1, but truly, the opening credits of Iron Man 1 was not the beginning of the MCU. Truly, the beginning of the MCU was the end credit in Iron Man 1 when Nick Fury shows up and says, I'm putting something together called the Avengers Initiative. That truly was the moment that the MCU really started. Nick Fury has been there and been a part of that from the beginning. We see him now. He's going to be in Captain Marvel. Maybe he'll be in Endgame. We don't know. He's going to be in Far From Home. Can you see them parlaying this at any point where we get a legit standalone Nick Fury movie?
Look, I would watch a Nick Fury movie. Again, I will watch pretty much anything Sam Jackson does, especially when, I think when he's put in as leading man status is when he truly shines. I mean, you want to see that you want to see peak Sam Jackson in any Sam Jackson movie.
By the way, if you want to see a tremendously underrated, underappreciated Samuel L. Jackson performance, he did a movie with Ben Affleck a number of years ago called Changing Lanes that I thought was a tremendously underrated film. I love that movie, and Jackson gives, I think, one of his best performances in it. Just go check that out if you get a chance.
He's great. And I think, again, if you had a great script, and you had a great story, I don't think a Nick Fury movie should have to be $150 million.
Right.
You could make a $65 million kick-ass Nick Fury spy story where he has to come back, one of those classic tales where somebody from his past comes back and he has to take that guy down, and it's this international romp, and, it's like an espionage thriller. Let's see that movie. I'd go see that.
I'll tell you what. Here's the thing. I love Samuel L. Jackson, and I love his Nick Fury character. But I love him as that connective tissue
Absolutely.
Of the MCU. I love that he's that thread that has pulled everything together, and hopefully they'll go on to expand upon that. He's the thread that keeps everything together. I love him in that role. Like, to see him pop up in that hotel room, Peter Parker's hotel room, goes, nice to finally meet you, Spider-Man.
No doubt.
That's the perfect role for Nick Fury. And I'll be honest with you, while I completely agree with you, Robert, if they were to make this movie, would I be lining up to get my ticket? Damn right. But if you were to ask me in advance of that, should this movie get made? I don't know. I love him as that connective tissue character, much like I like Hawkeye in that role. I don't necessarily want a Hawkeye standalone movie. I like Black Widow in that role. I don't necessarily want a Black Widow movie, but it's one of those characters. So I would prefer not to, but if they did, I would be there.
But you know what? That scene in Captain America Winter Soldier where he gets attacked in his truck, in the SUV.
Yes.
That scene to me there is your movie. That's the kind of movie. I mean, if you made a John Wick-esque film with Nick Fury in the John Wick role where he's being chased and everyone's against him, that scene alone shows that he could carry.
No.
An
Could he
MCU
carry?
movie.
No, I don't. But isn't that kind of the exact same thing that they're proposing for the Black Widow movie?
Yeah, I agree. Yes, and I agree. I mean, it's funny because, we want superheroics in our MCU movies. That's what we want. It's not an espionage franchise, but I still love those characters. And, it's like when you get a great miniseries, when you're reading comic books and they do a spin-off miniseries that was like kick-ass, like the first Mike Zeck drawn Punisher miniseries, that shit ruled. He was a secondary character before that miniseries, and then
The one thing I would say, though, if they did it, I'd really want them to focus on his mind.
Yeah.
That he will, number one, outsmart you, and number two, like he said in one of the movies, his secrets have secrets.
Right.
That he knows all the secrets. And if you can really play that out on screen as a de facto superpower almost in a way, that could be interesting. Again, I just love his preeminent role in the MCU.
I agree with that.
Kind of as it is.
I think you're absolutely right about that, though. The way they've set those movies up, the connective tissue is what makes his character so great.
Yeah, I agree. And part of what makes the MCU so great.
Yeah.
All right, guys, that's all the main topics we had for today. So we're going to do what we like to do every day here, which is save some time to take your live questions. So that's what we're going to do right now. A whole bunch of you guys are already there in the live chat board. So, Cory, what are people talking about in the Super Chats?
All right. First off, George Costanza. Walter White might be a drug deal, but he should be locked up for his real crime, and that is being a regifter.
A regifter.
Lock him up.
That's right. So we talked the other day about how Walter White, a.k.a. Why am I freezing on the actor's name?
Oh, Bryan Cranston.
Bryan Cranston, sorry. Bryan Cranston was in Seinfeld, the number of episodes. But yeah, there was a running gag of the regift. He's a regifter.
Yeah.
That was hilarious. I think it was a label maker too.
Yeah.
Like Elaine comes in, hey, Jerry, what do you got? Oh, I just got this label maker as a gift. Wow, I just gave one of those to Tim. To Tim? I got this. It's hilarious. I love that. All right, what's next?
Next, KW Garrett 83. Did some Oscar research. Wow, Rocky Best Picture win in 1977 is so impressive. It had to beat Network, Taxi Driver, and All the President's Men.
Ooh, I forgot Taxi Driver was.
So that was 76. I just want to point out.
But the awards would have been 77.
No, 70. Yes, that's
so-
correct for the 76. Yes, that's correct. I was thinking Best Picture in 77 was actually Annie Hall. But yes, the awards in 77. That's
Yes.
correct for 76.
That is crazy. Like Taxi Driver was that year. I didn't
Yep.
remember that. Funny story. Flew to New York once. Got called. Asked, "Do you want to come to New York and interview Martin Scorsese for the anniversary special DGA screening of Taxi Driver?" I hate flying, and I don't particularly like going to New York. So, but hey, it's Martin Scorsese. So me and Dennis get on a plane, and we fly to New York. Pain in the ass, 5.5 hour flight. Get there, turn our cell phones back on to messages and emails saying Scorsese had to cancel. And we had just put our boots in the ground in New York. It's like, God, but at least we still got to go to the DGA, watch that special screening of Taxi Driver. But yep, just turned around, got back on the plane, and flew back.
By the way, all of those movies, everybody out who's watching now, watch those movies. Watch Taxi Driver. Watch
President's
Network.
Men.
Watch all the
I
President's
love
Men.
Network too.
Oh.
All right, what's next?
Next, Murray Wright. Congrats on my man, Mariano Rivera, on being the first to be unanimously voted into the Hall of Fame. Congrats also on Messina Martinez and, of course, Doc.
Yeah, Doc Holliday, who I believe is going in as a Toronto Blue Jay, which is always good to see. Oh, man, Doc Holliday. I was so sad when he passed away. It was so sad when he passed away. But, yeah, congrats to all the Hall of Famers.
might have
And I
missed
think we missed one.
Yeah.
We did?
James Welsh, I
Oh,
believe.
my bad. James Welsh, sorry about that. Thoughts on Netflix being allowed to join the MPAA?
Just heard about that this morning. The Motion Pictures Association of America, that has traditionally always just been the Hollywood studios. Netflix, which, by the way, I believe in total, Netflix got like 15 Oscar nominations or something like that, including a Best Picture nomination for one of their films. They are now going into the MPAA. Well deserved. Well deserved. You're making these movies. Even if a whole boatload of their movies are absolute shit, they're putting out some. They're putting out.
That's true of every studio.
Yeah, true. But they're putting out nuggets of gold here. They're putting out some nuggets of gold. You know, people are talking and loving about Bird Box. People are liking Roma. Blah blah. I think it's well deserved. It's good to see them in there.
I agree, and plus they've got Martin Scorsese's Irishman coming out.
That's right. Yes, which
So-
I still am very worried about.
Yeah, you never bet
I'll
on
be
Martin.
honest.
Never bet against Marty.
Really?
Come on.
What about that Liam Neeson priest one he did a couple of years ago?
The Silence.
Is that what it?
Yeah,
I liked
The
it.
Silence
but
with-
oh yeah, I think Andrew Garfield was in that.
See,
too.
but it's good. It's just slow. It's just different. Look, I love The Age of Innocence, people. I love The Aviator.
Oh yeah, I like the Aviator
You know,
a lot.
come
All right,
on.
what's next?
Next, another one from Murray. Finally saw Green Book. Viggo Mortensen's Italian Bronx character was so good, especially his humor. Mahershala Ali was fantastic too. Overall, great film.
Love this movie. Love this movie. I still think Viggo is my front runner. I know you think Christian Bale for Vice. I would put my front runner money on Viggo Mortensen for Green Book. Mahershala Ali. Oh my God, between him and Sam Elliott and Rockwell. I mean, I just don't know. I told you yesterday, I think that Best Supporting Actor category is probably the most stacked this year, including your buddy, the guy you love so much,
Richard E. Grant. Let me tell you, a lot of you went out and tweeted to him, to Richard E. Grant,
I
because
saw
I told
that.
you to. Now, if you go and look at Richard E. Grant's Twitter feed and look at he just found out he got the nomination, and he's standing in front of this house where he started acting. He lived when he was a young actor. He was paying like $30 a month or something to rent this flat. I have never seen an actor who was so grateful and so flabbergasted and so gobsmacked and full of joy that he had this nomination. Just for that, my man Richard E. Grant should win.
But yes,
Damn
love Green Book. All right, what's next?
Curtis Lopez. MI1 came out when I was 3, and by the MI8 comes out in 2022. I'll be a year away from 30. Crazy.
And it looks like Tom Cruise has aged about 8 years.
That's
Not
unbelievable.
When you look from the first one. Now, I'll say this. I mentioned before, Tom Cruise, who's now well into his 50s, approaching 60, he is finally starting to look like an adult.
Yes. Yes.
Like it's only been in the last year or two that Tom Cruise is actually looking like a quote-unquote older dude. Like not an old man, but an older dude. He's finally, like something he should have hit 15 years ago, he's finally starting to look like, oh yeah, you're not just a recent college graduate. And it's crazy.
What's even crazier is Top Gun came out 33 years ago.
Oh my God, don't even
And they're
go
making
there.
a sequel, Top Gun Maverick.
Yeah.
I think it comes out this year. My favorite teen movie of the 80s, bar none, without exception, is Risky Business. And that came out in 1983.
Oh my God. Yeah. The reason it feels so weird is because he is like him, Keanu Reeves, whatever, just completely ageless.
I mean, he was in The Outsiders in
that's
82.
right.
He played Soda Pop.
That's right.
Crazy.
All right, what's next?
Curtis Lopez again. Favorite Disney villain? Mine is the demon on Bald Mountain from Fantasia.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Ooh.
I like it. But is he a villain? Is he Chernabog? Is he a villain?
I mean, what's that, Jonathan? He's not nice. Fact checker Jonathan.
But he's just doing what he does.
You know, I'll say this. There are a couple of villains I really like from some of their lesser well-received stuff. For instance, James Woods' Hades.
Ooh, that's a good one.
I thought that was a pretty good one. But, I mean, look, for me, the animated villains, a lot of people will go Cruella de Vil. Hey, sure. Squid Lady and Little Mermaid. Ursula, is that who it was?
Ursula the Sea Witch.
But it's Scar. For me, it's Scar. A monkey's uncle. I gotta go. What about like Cory? If somebody had to put you say your favorite Disney villain.
My favorite Disney villain? Ooh, that's tough. Off the top of my head, I would probably pick the Wicked Witch from Snow White.
Oh yeah,
Because she's really bad.
She's bad, and then you got some of those other like the evil stepmother. Then you got like there's a lot to go to.
There's a lot.
But I mean Gaston, who I believe is just misunderstood. But anyway, so yeah, I mean that's a great question. There's a lot of really good. But I'm gonna go with Scar. I'm gonna go with Scar. Which one would you go with?
That's a good one. You know, I like what you said because the witch from Snow White to me is one of the most iconic designs. Her face. I mean, she's the first Disney villainess. That's the first Disney animated feature. I like that. I'm going to go with the villainess from the witch from Snow White because my whole life I've been scared of that character. The nose and the black outfit and the hunched over and her look. And plus, who would want to kill Snow White or put her to sleep for however long? What kind of idiot would do that?
Nasty person. All right, what's next?
Derek Large. So happy to see Buster Scruggs get some nomination. Love that film.
Yeah, again, adding to the nomination total and stuff like that, and it kind of really flew on the radar. And I was very late to the game on that, but yeah, it was good to see it getting some of that attention.
The first story in that movie is one of my favorite things I saw last year. You know, with the gunfight.
Yes.
I mean, yeah.
All right, what's next?
Jordan Benjamin. Hi, guys. Hope you like the Captain Canada and Lightning lad I drew of you and posted to Twitter. What would Ashley like to be drawn as? Well, she's not here, sorry. Then I can put all of you together for a John Campea Show poster.
Well, I got to say that, first of all, I loved it. I love that artwork. I thought it was great. But then speaking of Ashley, we had our good friend David Crabtree, who's done some fan art for us before, actually did one of us with Ashley.
Yeah, and she's Captain Marvel.
And she's Captain Marvel in it.
But I like that this gentleman asked me, like, what would I like to be drawn as? And I said Lightning Lad from the Legion of Superheroes. Ask and you shall receive. So thank you for that.
I keep saying this. We actually have to start doing this. We have to start collecting up all the fan art that comes in.
Yeah.
And then like once a week, highlight and show it off to you guys.
We do.
I think we're going to start doing that. So if you guys are artists, whatever, you want to put some fan art together, send it on in. Once a week, I think we're going to start showing it off because we really need to do that.
And I want to be drawn as a villain. You know
Really?
what? I want to be either like Deathstroke, but
Like Han.
My
Yeah,
why
you
do
and
have to
Han,
do- why do
great
you have to do
villains.
that?
Great
Why
villains.
does he have to go there? I want to be drawn as Brother Blood, people. Brother Blood from the new Teen Titans, in honor of George Perez's retirement. But why? Why does he have to go there? Justice for Han. Justice for Han.
All right, what's next?
Unbeatable. I believe this is a quote. You're in big trouble, though, pal. I eat pieces of like you for breakfast. You eat pieces of for breakfast. No.
Which one's? What's that from?
I don't know.
What's that?
Oh,
Happy
that's
Gilmore.
right. That's
I had
right.
both Ray and fact checker Jonathan. You piece of shit for breakfast?
I didn't know if I could cuss on this show.
Oh yeah, you can. We do everything here. I do table dancing sometimes. All right. That's
He's
a
really
one.
good at it.
I'm
too.
really good too. Like, you'd be surprised.
He
All right,
brings out the pole. Wow.
what's next?
Sebastian. Some don't associate BP with comics. He bleeds like Batman and doesn't have laser eyes. Fly, breathe underwater, throws moons, teleports, or shit's gold.
Yeah, but he has super speed, super strength, super reflexes, super senses. He has an vibranium suit.
Plus, he used to be married to Storm of the X-Men.
Yes. Oh, by the way, one of my favorite, which didn't actually last all that long.
No,
but
it didn't.
One of my favorite comic book covers in history. You know the one I'm talking about. It's where Black Panther is sitting on this giant Wakandan throne in the jungle and Storm standing with her arm on his chest. It is one of the most majestic, regal comic book covers because you're looking, it's like, these be two badasses on the screen. This is a power couple right here. It was one of my favorite covers of all time.
By the way, Hot Toys is making just a Wakandan throne.
Oh,
Doesn't
well,
come with a
know
figure.
You're gonna
It's
get
just
that.
the throne. How excited am I?
You're all about chairs. You're all about chairs. All right, what's next?
Next up, Curtis Lopez. Would you rather play basketball with LeBron James, play football with Tom Brady, or play hockey with Wayne Gretzky?
God. Oh my God. That's what we call a Sophie's choice, ladies and gentlemen. I gotta go with the greatest professional athlete of all time. I'm gonna go with Wayne Gretzky. No athlete, like ESPN did a
What a
breakdown.
Canadian answer that is.
It's true. It is true. That's a very Canadian answer. But the guys in ESPN did this great statistical breakdown. When you break down statistics, how like a Michael Jordan or a LeBron James or Tom Brady compared statistically to their compatriots. Wayne Gretzky's statistical difference between him and all of the rest of the players in hockey was so monumentally huge. It dwarfed the statistical differences between Michael Jordan and other basketball players, between Tom Brady and other football players, on and on and on. It was just nuts, and they kind of declared him, he's the most dominant professional athlete of all time. He is called the Great One for a reason. And he's not even my favorite hockey player. My favorite hockey player was Mario Lemieux from the Pittsburgh Penguins, and before that was Mike Bossy of the New York Islanders, number 22, who played on a line with Brian Trottier, and with a defense with Denny Potvin, goaltended by Billy Smith. It was my favorite hockey team of all time, other than my Toronto Maple Leafs, but they never won shit. So, yeah, there's that. So I would play hockey with Wayne Gretzky. All right, what's next?
Abel Contreras, Dua Lipa song for Alicia comes out tomorrow. Hyped.
I'm assuming he means from Alita Battle Angel. I don't know the song, so I'm not.
Well, it hasn't come out yet.
Yeah, so I don't. So I have no connection to it.
Yeah, but look, if it's in that movie, I want to hear it. I'm sure it's.
I
great.
am getting more and more excited for this.
Yeah,
movie.
I am too.
And I was kind of completely disinterested in it to start, but I'm actually hyped for it now.
You know, I read the New Empire magazine had an article in it that made me excited.
Oh, all right.
Excited.
What's next?
Watcher X. A problem with a prob with Thor movies. Asgard looks fake. Never get that feeling like Aquaman, Lord of the Rings, like I'm in another world. Looks like CG backdrop. In Ragnarok, when Elba is fighting in woods, looks like my yard.
Oh, I'm going to completely disagree with you, Watcher. I remember that first Thor movie when we first arrive in Asgard and
The Rainbow Bridge.
I thought it was fabulous, absolutely fabulous. I'll take it any day over Atlantis in Aquaman, and I liked Atlantis in Aquaman. I did, but I thought Asgard was wonderful.
You know, again, I think that no one's ever done a study on this, but I think people's perception of CG environments is definitely part of their personality. Like what works for people and what doesn't. Because I've found myself going back and watching like Lord of the Rings, which I've seen a million times because working on the DVDs. And sometimes I'll watch it and go, wow, that doesn't really look good to me at all. And then other times I'll go back and go, wow, that looks fantastic. I really do think it's a litmus test for your personality.
Interesting. I've never heard somebody propose that. But hey, bottom line, Watcher X's, it still is a subjective thing. And if you watched it and it didn't quite hit it for you like those other films did, nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying my perception of it was a little bit different. I thought Asgard looked wonderful. All right, what's next?
Curtis Lopez. Has anyone realized the song at the end credits of Aquaman does not fit the movie at all?
Oh, you're not the only one to realize that. It really doesn't. But really, who cares? Look, I'll say this too. While I love the song, what's something all the stars, whatever, the song that plays in the end credits of Black Panther, I don't think that fit the movie at all either. It's a great song, though. But ultimately, who cares? I'm more concerned about, does a song fit the movie when it's actually in the movie?
Right.
So, for instance, that casino scene in Black Panther, when the Weeknd song comes up, Pray For Me, that song perfectly fits that scene, and I get my blood pumping when I hear that scene. But then you think, but it's the end credits, so who cares?
But when people say that, I wonder, is that because the lyrics don't exactly match what the movie was about?
I gotta feel it's more like the music and the tone of it.
Yeah, I mean, I've always thought there's a reason why filmmakers put that music in the end of the film. Sometimes it's just because they want to stick another pop song in the movie. But I think that movies, they have songs that are carefully considered. I always ask myself, why did they choose this song?
Yeah. I mean, like I said, that song at the end of Black Panther, or the Black Panther, I don't think it fits the movie, but it's a great song. There are other songs that fit the movie and Black Panther great. I'll tell you though this. I think the most perfect song ever put on the end of a movie as the end credits start to play, without question, no doubt, undisputed champion, Into the West by Annie Lennox at the end of Lord of the Rings Return of the King.
Dude, I was just thinking that.
I defy you to come up with a song that is more perfect for the ending of its movie than Into the West by Annie Lennox.
By the way, did win the Academy Award for Best
did.
Song, and she sang it on the Oscars. I agree with you. That song still gives me chills. It's amazing, but it was written for that movie.
Yes, it was written for the movie, and I weep sometimes when I hear that song.
And Annie Lennox, she crushes.
Oh my God, she crushed that.
Crushes that song.
All right, what's next?
I like this question. Curtis Lopez. If brought back to life for one more concert, whose would you go to? Michael Jackson's Prince, David Bowie, Freddie Mercury with Queen, or Frank Sinatra?
Oh my God, that's tough because you're damn right. There's an emptying of John Campea's bank account to go to any of these for sure. I mean, Michael Jackson, the king of pop, Prince, David Bowie, Freddie Mercury, Frank Sinatra. Can you imagine actually being in a smoky lounge hearing Frank Sinatra croon like live and in person?
I've seen Frank Sinatra live.
You have?
I've seen Frank Sinatra when he was touring for, I believe it was L.A. is My Lady, the album.
Wow.
L.A. is My, yeah. But it's Prince all day, every day, and twice on Sunday. Prince, I've seen probably 30 times live. He is the single greatest live rock and roll performer of all time.
Anne actually went to go see Prince. He did, shortly before he died, he did like 7 nights in a row in Los Angeles a few years ago, and Anne went to 2 of them.
Oh, yeah.
She went to 2. I think I would have to say Freddie Mercury. Like, his vocal power was unbelievable. And then, watching Bohemian Rhapsody and seeing them recreate that Live Aid concert and just thinking, oh my God, to have been there for that. But then again, Michael Jackson, David Bowie, I'll lean towards Freddie Mercury right now. If you ask me again in 5 years, I might switch it to MJ, but for now, I'll go Freddie Mercury. It's a great, what about you, Cory? If you could go to one of them, which one would you go to?
I would probably pick Michael Jackson for sure. But his old music, not the more recent ones, like the ones with Thriller and...
Back the Beat It, Billie Jean, all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
All right, what's next?
Cody Carroll. Cue of the day should be Team Shaw John versus Team Han Rob. Winner puts a toy of that character on the desk. Go Team Han, like the new toys you've added.
Yes.
Well, I think that would be unfair. I would clearly win. I mean, Team Shaw would clearly win. And so there's just no point in even doing the contest.
Not in a race. Han would drift through the Tokyo mountains. It'd be the race would have to take place around Mount Fuji.
Right.
And that's...
And then Shaw would sabotage his brakes and he would drift right off the side of the
No way.
hill.
Han
Shaw,
Solo, come on, man.
Shaw's
Did you see
got
that
it,
Speed
man.
Racer episode when they raced through the inside of the volcano?
I did not
Come
see
on.
that one. All right, what's next?
DC Patience. Any box office estimates for Train Your Dragon?
I have not heard tracking numbers yet on How to Train Your Dragon. I mean, look, How to Train Your Dragon has never been a super... It's never... I don't believe they've joined the $1 billion club. You know what? I could be wrong about that. Look, while I'm looking this up, Robert, like, have you had any guesses on it?
Well, I think the How to Train Your Dragon franchise is a hugely popular franchise. I think it's going to make a lot of money. I was surprised at how much money Incredibles 2 made.
Yeah, joined the $1 billion club.
And I love The Incredibles. But, when it came out, I don't think it was in the top echelons of Pixar. When movies like that have a chance to marinate in the public's consciousness, then they develop this following. I mean, look, Terminator 2. Terminator 1 was sort of a low-budget B movie. It was a reasonable hit for the time, but because everyone saw it on video, by the time Terminator 2 came out, monster hit.
Right. So How to Train Your Dragon 1 made $43 million opening weekend. How to Train Your Dragon 2 made $49 million opening weekend. In total, How to Train Your Dragon 1 made just a hair under $500 million, and How to Train Your Dragon 2 made about $630 million. I'm going to go out on a limb and guess $65 million opening weekend.
I'm with you. I would say
65?
65 to 70.
I feel good about 65 then. That would be by far the big of the franchise. All right, what's next?
Ben Salton. Hey John, do hear reports that Netflix is looking to reboot Unsolved Mysteries. I love that show.
Ray is clapping his hands over there because he loves this type of stuff. I've been seeing that all over the place. Now, I will admit, I was never an Unsolved Mysteries guy. But Ray, I'm telling you what, look, Ray crashes at my place quite often through the week because I live closer to the studio. And, like, he'll always have some ridiculous shit on Netflix of who did the murder. Like, this true crime document stuff. Like, you're into this shit, too, right? Like, you are totally into this stuff, aren't you, Cory? Mm-hmm. So she loves this stuff, too. But so I heard that they might be relaunching Unsolved Mysteries. Oh, that's interesting. I did, but then I see people losing their minds over this. I'm like, really? I didn't realize it had that kind of big of a following.
People want things solved, John.
They want things solved. You should.
They want the world
There's a
to
new
be
T-shirt.
solved.
People want things solved. Robert Meyer Burnett. All right, what's next?
Next up, Tyler Schultz. Snow Day. Finally get to watch live. Yay!
I miss snow. People have to say, "Oh, you must love living in LA now because it's always warm." Like my favorite. I'm not kidding. My favorite season of the year is winter. I love it.
I got a picture from my friend Mike Bodden in Iowa today, and it was outside of his house, inundated with snow, and he's worried that the White Walkers are going to show up at any moment.
Well, hey, Tyler, I'm glad you got a day off, and I'm glad you're spending your day with us, dude. All right, what's next?
Next up, By Odin's Beard. Just confirmed John Campea to play the MCU's next big threat.
Yes, like a lot of people were asking me yesterday, John, do you think your character in The Incredible Hulk survived the snap? And I said, I can't talk about that. I have to be very quiet about that. Not a lot of people realize I was in The Incredible Hulk. I'm actually in 3 different places in The Incredible Hulk. Shh. Some of you guys have actually been tweeting me. You've been finding me. But I don't know. I don't know if my character... No. I'll say yes, my character survived the snap. And I play a major role in setting things right. No, I don't. But
I don't know. I mean, you disappear for long stretches at a time, and
that's true.
Somebody says they see you on set. It's been reported on TMZ. I don't know, man.
I'm just saying. All right, what's next?
All right, Robert Kessler comments, the Atlantic article on Bryan Singer is disgusting.
We're not going to go much into this because I don't know Bryan. Somebody at this table does. And so, we have perspectives on this. Obviously, sometimes things get reported and they're true. Sometimes things get reported and they're not true. I have not personally read through the Atlantic article myself. I know, Robert, you have.
I have. I've read the article.
And I don't know that we can comment right now. I think we should probably just not comment at this point. Because it's not just because there is a connection to Bryan Singer at this table. So whatever we say at this point could be construed, and somebody will take it and twist it into meaning something bad and negative. So we're just going to pass that for now. But thank you for bringing it up, Robert. All right, what's next?
We're moving on to Stubble McShave, broadsword calling Danny Boy.
I don't know what that means.
Me neither.
That I don't know. That's got to be a line from a movie.
Maybe.
And I like Stubble McShave.
Yes.
And Danny Boy is, of course, a very famous song,
yes.
So it's got to be an Irish...
Maybe.
Danny Boy's got to be an Irish character, right?
I guess. All right, what's next?
Holy Jeebus. Hi, John. Have you checked out Sci-Fi's new Deadly Class? It has Benedict Wong as headmaster of a school that teaches high school students to become assassins. It's based on a comic by Rick Remender.
I have not. I've seen the trailers for it, but I know the Russo brothers are also working on producing another show that's oddly similar to that.
I've only seen the pilot of Deadly Class because I believe It drops on it must have just dropped because it was supposed to debut on the 15th.
Right.
I saw over the holidays they had released the pilot. It's awesome.
Really?
I loved it.
Because I like Benedict Wong.
I love, it's about a school for assassins. It's got
So it's Harry Potter meets Wanted.
Yes, it is. That's exactly what it is. It's Harry Potter meets Wanted, and Rick Remender's in it, and it's got high school age female ninjas, which in my mind is all anything needs to be cool.
All right, what's next?
Next, Murray Wright. I think Kiss Kiss Gang Bang and Han Had It Coming were snubbed.
Yes, absolutely. Kiss Kiss Gang Bang should have been up for Picture of the Year.
What is with the bloodthirsty nature of this Han Had It Coming? Han Solo is one of the great characters. Han Sol, like the city Seoul, not Han Solo. Han Solo and his RX-7 drifting through the mountains of Japan. Get it right. The Drift is one of the greatest movies ever made.
Yes, Ray's saying the broadsword thing.
The only thing I can find is Where Eagles Dare, starring Clint.
Oh my God, that's what it is.
Oh, it's that?
Where Eagles Dare, one of the great World War II movies ever made.
I didn't even remember that. Thank you.
Richard Burton, that's a good one.
Thank you, fact checker Ray. Thank you for bringing that up.
Everybody should see Where Eagles Dare.
And if that's a good deep cut, dude, for
That is
putting
a
that one in
great
there.
deep
That's a
cut.
good one. All right, what's next?
Colby Harris, working on It's a Funny Comedy about a superhero on his day job.
Oh, you're working out. Well, good. I mean, hey, everybody should get involved in some kind of creative endeavor. If you got an idea, make that idea a reality. Whether it's writing it, drawing it, whatever. More people need to get involved creatively and
I
flex
agree.
their creative muscles. That sounds great, man. All right, what's next?
DC Patience, read the Black Panther nomination, Rising Tides Raise All Ships. Logan and Dark Knight were overlooked, but maybe others have a better chance now.
Well, no, like absolutely. Like that's why I said yesterday during the show. It's like, did the right superhero movie get nominated this year? No. But I'm still awfully glad a superhero movie did. Like, absolutely. I also remember with The Dark Knight, Dark Knight came out in a different era, in an era when the Academy Awards limited the number of nominations to 5. Had they had the same rules then that they had now, I guarantee you Dark Knight would have been nominated. I am still flabbergasted that Logan didn't get there's no excuse for that. But no, so my whole thing is, do I think the right comic book movie got nominated? No. But am I happy? Absolutely. I think this marks a great day for comic book movie fans in the genre.
But I would say that the central conflict in Black Panther, the idea of what Killmonger was saying and what he was after and what T'Challa was saying, that central conflict is very much a Best Picture kind of a conflict. I mean, how many movies talked about colonialism? The history of the African continent and what happened. There's a really interesting central theme in that movie that you could make a non-superhero Best Picture winning movie out of.
Well, yeah, look, I think Black Panther is a great movie.
Yeah.
You guys read my tweets yesterday, what I tweeted out when I first came out of the movie. I was like, ah!
Yeah.
I love the movie. I think it's fantastic. I just don't, even you don't think it's the best comic book
No, I
movie
don't.
of the year.
I don't.
So, I mean, there we go. And your second favorite comic book movie of the year, not even.
No, I'm an Infinity War guy.
Yeah, you're an Infinity War
because
guy.
that's it. Infinity War. I never thought I'd ever see a movie like that in my entire life, and it captured what it was like to read those big crossovers.
All right, what's next?
All right, Andrew Lee, you're up. Bigger drop in quality, X2 to X-Men 3 or Spider-Man 2 to Spider-Man 3. P.S. Dig seeing R&B on the regular, and a warm welcome to Ashley.
Yes, welcome, Ashley.
Thank you.
Asian Ashley. That's what we're going to call Cory from now on. The office had Asian Jim. We have Asian Ashley. I will go Spider-Man 2 to Spider-Man 2 to Spider-Man 3. Like X-Men 2 to X-Men 3 was a significant drop. But to this day, I thought there were some real highlights in the film. Like that scene in X3 when Magneto rips off the bridge and carries him all over. I thought Kelsey Grammer's Beast was great. But overall, yeah, it's a bad movie, and it was a bad dip in quality. But I think the dip between Spider-Man 2, which for a while could have been argued was the best comic book movie of all time, to Spider-Man 3, which is just rotten, I'll say that had the bigger drop.
I didn't like it. I'll tell you what I hated about X-Men 3. When Magneto is talking about the first wave of mutants he's throwing against the good guys, and he goes, they're just pawns.
Yeah, that's not Magneto.
I'm like, what?
That's not
That's
Magneto.
the most, what a bastardization of a great character.
Yep, that is not Magneto's character at all. By the way, Magneto is not villain. Magneto is my all-time favorite comic book character.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Eric is my all-time favorite comic book character. All right, what's next?
Cincy 17. Hi, John. You can only have one come out of retirement. Who do you take? Sean Connery, Rick Moranis, Daniel Day-Lewis, Jack Nicholson, or Gene Hackman?
Well, Jack Nicholson, the funny thing is he still insists he's not retired.
Right.
His agent still insists he's not retired. Gene Hackman, I think there's health issues there. I also think there's health issues with Sean Connery at this point.
I mean, they're very old.
It sucks that a guy like Sean Connery and his incredible career, by the way, still it's a terrible, awful line. I'm acknowledging that, but hearing it come out of the mouth of Sean Connery is still the funnest. It's still the best. Sean Connery saying, "Your best. Losers whine about their best while winners go home and fuck the prom queen."
From The Rock.
From The Rock. I mean, come on. Sean Connery saying that. I mean, it is a shame that his career had to end with a movie like Gentlemen.
The League of
The League of
Extraordinary
Extraordinary Gentlemen, a movie that we worked on. The company I was working at worked on. It's unfortunate that had to be his last
The
film.
greatest unmade sequel of my lifetime is bringing Marco Ramius back from the end of Hunt for Red October.
Yeah.
Marco Ramius should have gone on an adventure again.
I mean,
Oh,
all that.
well.
But I mean, okay, if I could bring any of them back, I would normally say Daniel Day-Lewis because he is the greatest actor of all time, period, end stop. But I've seen him recently in The Phantom Thread. It's been a long time since I've seen Sean Connery do his thing. So if
Right.
all other health issues aside, I guess I would go Sean Connery. What about you?
Yeah, yeah.
All right. What's
But
next?
as a sequel to Hunt for October.
But as a sequel to Hunt for Red October. What's next?
Next, Jabin Carter. I want to see Galacticus as the villain on the next CSI.
Yeah. Well, I would have loved to have seen Montana.
That's Sam Neill.
Yes,
from
it
Hunt
is.
for
That's
October.
right. God, I thought you'd see it.
Did they let you do that?
Galactus is the villain on CSI.
This planet's missing. Who ate it?
Yeah, there's with any forensic evidence. Well, there's a planet-sized crater on the ground. We should scope it for DNA. All right, what's next?
Hawes Fam TV. Hearing rumors that Henry Cavill signed on for 4 more Superman gigs, including a Supergirl film, maybe Shazam cameo after all. Do you see any truth to these?
Nope, none.
None, sir.
But I'll tell you what, nobody on this planet Earth would be happier about it than this guy right here, this smiling Italian dude right here. If that were true, I don't think it's true at all, unfortunately, but I love Henry Cavill, dude.
Me too.
Love that dude. All right, what's next?
Ben Jesusa. Hobbs and Shaw should have been called Hobbs and Shaw. Justice for Han.
My man Ben.
By the way, I actually dig the Fast and Furious Presents added in the title.
Yeah, I mean, look, I get it. I'm not quite. I don't love the wording of it, but I get putting Fast and Furious in the title for for audience recognition.
Sure.
I get that. I'm not a big fan of Fast and Furious Presents, but I'm okay with them putting Fast and Furious in the title of it.
I'm just not happy unless Han is given. He was done dirty by Shaw. Why does Shaw get his own spin-off movie where they're like friends now? Justice for Han. No Justice for Han, no peace.
You know what? The
for
first 20
Hobbs and
minutes
Shaw.
of Hobbs and Shaw is going to be Shaw receiving gifts from around the world of thanks and gratitude for getting rid of that dude who was so big on his own hair.
By the way, where do we get our fat Universal check for marketing Hobbs and Shaw?
I
this
know, we
out, this
should.
early
Damn
out?
it, we keep talking about this
do we
damn
get
movie.
to come to the premiere or what?
All right,
I want
what's
to go to the
next?
premiere with Sun Kang.
Paul M. Even with the returning characters, I'm not as excited for Captain Marvel as I am for Shazam. The trailers are just doing a better job of hyping me.
Oh, to me, make no doubt. I believe the trailers for Shazam have been better than the trailers for Captain Marvel. That I have no doubt. I do have a lot of doubt as to which will be the better movie.
Right.
Like I have a lot of faith. Kevin Feige, it's Kevin Feige.
Right.
I have very little doubt that Captain Marvel is actually going to be a great movie. But in my mind, there's no question the marketing for Shazam has been much better. Like, how do you see it?
The marketing of Shazam has been much more entertaining.
Yeah.
You know, they've taken the premise of what's going on, and even the trailers encapsulate what the movie's going to feel like to watch. And I feel like Captain Marvel's been more generic.
I agree. So far, that doesn't mean the movie won't be that way.
Does not
but
mean
as
that.
of right now, Shazam's just done the better job. All right, what's next?
Bestie 14. HBO is slowly dying. Game of Thrones is ending. With all the streaming services about to launch with new headliners, HBO needs a new series. Game of Thrones budget, HBO presents Injustice, Gods Among Us.
And nobody would watch it. So, look, I love Injustice: Gods Among Us. HBO is, first of all, is not slowly dying. Let's just be clear about
No,
that.
they've got the new Watchmen series coming out.
And on top of that, make no mistake, I mentioned this on the show the other day. While Netflix and Amazon Prime and other services are creating some really good stuff, there's still only one king of the hill as far as making the best original content, and that's HBO. HBO is still the king of that hill. I mean, there's just no way around that. They just are. I mean, it's all subjective. You may have a different opinion, and that's totally cool. But from my perspective, it's just they're still the best of the best. With or without Game of Thrones, they're the best of the best. And you bet your ass they will just come up with something that goes, oh, it's going to die because Sopranos is ending. Boom, they come out with something else great.
Right. Come on.
You know, no more Entourage. Well, you know, then they just come up with something else.
That's Sex in the City. Better close up shop now.
Yeah, I mean, they just keep cranking them out, and they are still the gold standard. They're the gold standard. All right, what's next?
Franklin Donahue, over or under 25% that Endgame will produce a Best Actor nomination. Also, HBK is my pick for Shock Royal Rumble winner. You heard it here first.
Under 25% that Endgame will produce a Best Acting nomination of any sort. So
Absolutely.
I can take under. I'm not going to say zero, not zero, but I'll take the under 25% on that. I don't even know who's in the Royal Rumble this year because I do not follow the WWE anymore like you do, Cory. Like you're
Yeah, but it's not all announced just yet, so
right.
So we just gotta see.
Is Sheamus in it? Is Sheamus in it?
I don't know if he's announced yet. I'm a little behind as well.
See, I want Tito Santana to come out of retirement and do that. I used to love Tito Santana. All right, what's next?
Jordan Carlson, suppose the higher ups in moviedom has spoken. You can pick any 3 props from any film or TV show to have on display in your living room. What are your choices?
Oh,
I can tell you what 2 of them are off the top of my head, and they're 2 that I have literally stood in front of in person. I got to visit once Skywalker Ranch. Not many people get to set boots down on the hallowed ground of Skywalker. I got to visit Skywalker Ranch, and I was in one of the big cottages, and they had, in the same room, under glass cases, Indy's whip from Raiders of the Lost Ark and the first lightsaber that Obi-Wan handed to Luke in A New Hope, sitting right there in front of me. Those 2 would be in my collection. I'm not quite sure about a third one, but those 2 would be in my collection.
I would want Logan's gun from Logan's Run, his deep sleep pistol. I would want Rick Deckard's gun from Blade Runner, and I would want Excalibur from the movie Excalibur.
Ooh, that's a good one too. All right, what's next?
Next up, Suthius85. Hope all is well. Being a fellow Asian, hello, fellow Asian, representation is important to me. I'm happy to see more and more Asians on the screen. One actor I've grown to admire is Will Yun Lee, who is doing a great job in The Good Doctor show.
You know, that's the show I've never checked out.
I haven't watched it either.
I've seen tons of marketing for it, but I haven't seen anything about it. So I can't comment on that, but I mean, it's doing well. I see it's got decent rating numbers and all that kind of stuff. And doesn't it have the kid? Isn't The Good Doctor the kid from Sixth Sense? No, Freddie Highmore. Isn't it Freddie Highmore?
Yes.
Yes, it's Freddie Highmore who plays it. Yeah, so I got to check that out at some point. I do have to check that out at some point. And yes, it's important to me as well to have Asian representation both in my studio and, of course, in my marriage. So, yes, lots of Asian representation in my marriage. All right, what's next?
Paul M. Wife and I seem to be the only ones who did not like Poppins Returns. I was hoping the duck, pail, and ship were going to have a point. Nope. I only enjoyed the vase scene. Mary was too overbearing.
Paul, I'm going to tell you what. I still think Mary Poppins Returns was a good film. But I was tremendously disappointed by it. I was. I wanted something much more magical. Not to mention that Emily Blunt brings a terrific performance to the role. So good. But that movie, and I'll tell you, did you have a chance to see it, Robert?
Yes.
Okay. Without giving any spoilers, something happens basically nearly at the end point, the climax of the film, something happens that rendered everything else that happened in the movie completely pointless. Like, oh, that's what was going to happen anyway, regardless of all this other stuff that happened? That solved the movie? And none other than Where the Lost Things Go, which, ooh, that hits you. That Lost Things Go song, man, that hit you. Other than that, I found none of the music memorable. I found none of it inspiring. I found none of it toe-tapping. I didn't come out of the theater humming any of it other than maybe Where the Lost Things Go.
She was great, though.
She was great. She was fantastic in that.
But also, Mary Poppins is a product of its time.
In a sense and in a way, I guess.
And they try. It would have been interesting to see Mary Poppins I think in a later era, perhaps.
Maybe.
What if it was in the 50s and it was like a doo-wop thing?
Oh, God.
It could be kind of cool.
Mary Poppins don't do WAP.
I know, but what would it have been like?
Or she showed up at a Metallica concert and she's a headbanger.
Oh, I would watch that.
I would watch that in a heartbeat. All right, what's next?
I'm upset. Thoughts on the Triple X trilogy? Chances for a fourth one?
They've all been ridiculous.
Yeah. But you know what? Vin Diesel's skiing in the woods.
Yeah, but it was a bad movie. And Vin Diesel, I love Vin Diesel. Make no mistake about this. I love Vin Diesel, but that's not my favorite of his work.
No.
That's not my favorite of his work. All right, what's next?
Next, excuse me, Musici di Diable. May I recommend the webcomic Sicario? It's John Wick meets Logan. Love you guys.
Oh, I'm not familiar with it. Sicario. I've not heard of it.
I haven't either, but
I
I'll
gotta
look
tell you, I
at it.
love the title.
I do too. I'll
Sounds
watch that.
pretty cool. Okay, man, you got our attention. We're gonna check that out.
Next up, Cory Skiba. What about a Nick Fury series on Disney Plus instead of a movie?
If you could lock down Samuel L. Jackson to commit to something like that, maybe.
Well, you know,
I wouldn't mind. I mean, we got The Vision and Scarlet Witch. We got Falcon and Winter Soldier. We've got Loki. They might have their dance card full. They can only make so many at a time.
No, and if you look at things like The Bodyguard or The Looming Tower or any espionage, the new John Krasinski helmed or led Jack Ryan.
Yeah.
I mean, if you could make a show like that, it'd be great. Like an 8-episode world-traveling espionage show. I'm in.
All right, 2 questions left.
2. First of 2, Stubble McShave. I could see Fury and Widow in a spy movie.
I mean, yeah, I don't think you could make a Black Widow movie and a Nick Fury movie. But because, like I said before, I think you kind of be making the same movie
Right.
in a way. A team-up movie of Black Widow with a Nick Fury. I might be on board for that. That might push me over a little bit. I might make it a little bit, and throw Hawkeye in there too, because he's the other guy I don't want a solo movie of. But I could be down for that. All right. Last question of the day.
All right, it's for Marcus Robert Johnson. Watch Split again. Love Glass. Trivia on Amazon said Joaquin Phoenix was originally cast to play the Horde, the Beast, Kevin Wendell Crumb. How interesting would that have been? Better, worse, or different?
Oh. Well, look, it's all we have is what we have, which is James McAvoy as the Horde. Right, that's all we've got. So that's our point of reference. Oh my God, could you imagine Joaquin Phoenix doing the Horde?
I can actually.
I look, better, worse, different. I'll lean different.
Yeah.
It would be different. What James McAvoy has done with this set of characters is phenomenal. Like, I didn't even like Glass, but I can watch James McAvoy scenes all day as he transitions between these different personas, totally different personalities and everything, and never felt cringy, never felt gimmicky, never felt like any of that. He made it just feel so real. But Joaquin Phoenix doing it, oh my God, one can dream.
Absolutely.
But let's put it this way. If I had a big button right here that I could press that would change history and get rid of James McAvoy as it to replace him with Joaquin Phoenix, I just love what we've got too much. I wouldn't hit the button.
I agree. I mean, it's people will remember that performance for years to come.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what. I said last question, but one more snuck in there. So let's take this last one and we'll wrap it up.
Tacky75. My pet peeve. Someone has something to hide, is asked about it, and responds, I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, yeah. That's every time.
Yeah.
I have never, even when wanting to deny something, I've never said, I don't know what you're talking about.
But,
I've never used that phrase. And it is used every freaking day on television and movies.
It's true.
I honestly don't. I'm certain I don't know what you're talking about.
Lazy writing.
Lazy writing. Kind of like the Han character. All right, guys. I keep going back to that will do it for us for this installment of the John Campea Show. Thank you guys so much for being here and being a part of it. Listen, guys, keep the conversation going. Remember, you're talking to fellow film fans, so jump down to the comment section below. Leave your thoughts and opinions on any or all the topics that we discussed here today. I want to thank, of course, the one, the only, the great, the Tokyo Driftin', Mr. Robert Meyer Burnett. Robert, where can people find you online?
Well, people can find me holding a vigil for Han Solo most of the time in my house. But you can find me on Instagram at RM Burnett. Find me on Twitter at BurnettRM, or find me on my YouTube channel, The Burnettwork, or at my website, theburnettwork.net.
And, of course, I want to thank our guest today who came in so conveniently and nicely and generously to fill in for Ashley, Mr. Cory Takei. Cory, where can people find you
Did
online?
you call me Mister?
Did I say Mister?
You did.
Well, think of it like a Star Trek bridge. You still say Mister.
You do say Mister.
Mr. Takei.
Okay,
Where can
that's
people
fine.
find you online?
You can find me at KAORIOUS on all of those channels, and follow me for cosplay and fitness as well.
And good luck at the Royal Rumble this weekend. I hope you guys have fun.
Yes,
and
thank
of
you.
course, you guys can follow me on Instagram. By the way, you can follow me on Instagram. I get told, John, you should tell people about your Instagram. Okay, fine. Follow my Instagram or Twitter or Facebook. Follow me on all those channels simply at John Campea. Don't forget, guys, it's Wednesday, which means it's for time for the new edition of the Weekly Hero. Robert and I are going to be shooting that a little bit later today. And, of course, on Friday, for those of you who are Patreon supporters, and by the way, thank you to all of you who are Patreon supporters. We've got our Patreon supporter exclusive podcast, Best of the Week, with me, Robert, and Ashley. New episode is going to come out this Friday. That'll do it for us, guys. Thanks so much for being here. My name's John Campea, and until next time, bye-bye.